In my opinion, the most impressive version of Dorian Yates was not one of his Mr. Olympia versions, but his 1996 German Grand Prix version. He looked like he was absolutely carved out of stone, more than he does usually. Now, unfortunately, we do not have high quality pictures from that show, so screenshots from a video will have to suffice. But I wanted to compare him to one of the best bodybuilders of all time, with his best version, at least in my opinion, his most dominant version on the bodybuilding stage, none other than Philip Heath at his 2013 Mr. Olympia, to see how these two gentlemen stack up against each other. So, in my opinion, Dorian Yates, 1996 German Grand Prix, Phil Heath, 2013 Mr. Olympia, their best two versions. So, who will win this battle? Well, let's get to the mandatories and find out. First, we start with the frontable biceps, and Phil Heath, obviously he's way more narrow than Dorian Yates, and Dorian Yates has much better lats, but overall, when you just look at the arms and the wheels, I would say that that is enough to give Phil Heath a decisive win in this shot. And keep in mind that this was also after Dorian Yates tore his left bicep, so you can see that it basically looks melted. It looks like there is nothing there. But in my opinion, still Dorian Yates looks freaking impressive in his shot, even in spite of his weak left biceps. Let's move on to the front lat spread then. Do I even need to say anything? Now, Phil Heath was not that bad in the front lat spread in the 2013 Mr. Olympia version, but wow, just freaking wow. This is, in my opinion, the best front lat spread of all time. No discussion here. Dorian Yates smoking Phil Heath. Moving on to the side chest. Unfortunately, I could not find a full body shot of the side chest of Dorian Yates. But, guys, this is a case of muscle bellies for days versus Granite for days. And who will win? Well, I will give a slight edge to Mr. Phil Heath. Dorian Yates is not as bad in the side chest shot as many people would like to think. But when you look at the arms, for example, and the arms also count from the side, you can see that Dorian Yates, he just doesn't have the same amount of muscle separation in the arms. He does not have that separation between his delt and his arms. And overall, if we had the full body shot, Dorian Yates, he was not that bad downstairs in 1996 German Grand Prix, but he was not as good as Mr. Philip. So I would say that Phil gets an edge in the side chest, but in the side triceps, it gets a bit more difficult because, in my opinion, Dorian Yates has absolutely perfect, and I mean perfect, execution in this pose. And at the 1996 German Grand Prix, he looked like he was made out of absolute stone. Now, if we had the full body shot, obviously, Phil Heath, he gets an edge downstairs when it comes to muscularity, but just look at Dorian Yates' skin when it comes to his wheels. It looks so prickly, and he has that absolute granite look. So, I don't know, guys. Take your pick here. I think it all comes down to preference. Do you prefer that granite look and perfect execution? Or do you prefer sort of more puffy muscle bellies, bigger muscles, more complete downstairs? Take your pick, guys. Take your pick. Moving on to the back double biceps, and Jesus Christ, Dorian Yates was absolutely ripped here. And I mean absolutely ripped. Now, of course, we can discuss this. We can say, oh, I guess Phil Heath, he has, I don't know, better hamstrings. His arms are better. They are bigger. But, guys, come on. Look at Dorian Yates. And, for that matter, take a look at their lower backs. It is just nighttime. Game over, Phil Heath, game over. Usually, I would say that there are plenty of versions where Dorian Yates is getting defeated in the back double biceps against Phil Heath, namely due to the lower section, the downstairs department, and also the arms, but that back, at least in this version, totally makes up for it. And keep in mind that Phil Heath is also leaning back quite a bit, which is why I made him shorter, by the way. And he does that to sort of create a more 3D effect, to make his back look thicker and to make his lat insertion look better. But Dorian Yates, he's just standing straight up. He's just flexing his arms from the back, and this is the result, guys. Absolutely amazing. And even in the hamstring and glutes, back in the day, they weren't flexing him like they are in this modern era, at least not in the 90s. But if he did that, and I will showcase that later, it would also be a smoke show downstairs when it comes to conditioning. But let's move on to the back lat spread, and this is basically the same story. Now, I would say that perhaps Phil Heath stacks up a bit better than Dorian Yates in the back lat spread, because this shot, the sort of muscle separation and detail are not that important, and usually that is obviously Phil Heath's strong suit, but against Dorian Yates, guys, it is freaking tough to beat. So overall, I would say that the arms do not come into the equation in this shot. And again, guys, downstairs, if Dorian Yates had the same execution as Phil Heath, it would be a lot closer. And even if he would also flex that area, it would be a lot closer. And then again, guys, Dorian Yates, he is much wider than Phil Heath, perhaps not evident from this shot because of angles and the way Phil is leaning back and things of that nature, basically. But again, guys, I would say that Dorian Yates also takes this shot. And we also finally have this Christmas tree shot. And guys, if you guys had any doubt that Dorian Yates was absolutely smoking Phil Heath from the back, just take a look at this shot. I mean, obviously Phil Heath, one of the best backs in bodybuilding history. But in my opinion, at least at the 1996 German Grand Prix, Dorian Yates had the absolute best back in history. And also, food for thought, I just wanted to showcase this. If Dorian Yates were to flex his glutes and hamstrings, because for some reason he usually did not do that, and they didn't have an emphasis on that in the 90s. But this is taken just seconds apart. On the left, he obviously is not flexing. On the right, he is flexing. And guys, the conditioning that Dorian Yates actually had downstairs, if he flexed it properly, I believe that a lot of picture comparisons would be different if Dorian Yates pretty much flexed his glutes and hamstrings in every shot, because we put a lot of emphasis on that, especially in the modern day era, but they did not. So take that into consideration next time you watch a Dorian Yates picture comparison. And they are commenting about how Dorian Yates did not have the same amounts of shreds in the glutes and hamstring as the modern day guys, because he absolutely did. He just did not flex them as properly. But let's move on to the abs and thigh. And again, guys, in my opinion, obviously Phil Heath, he has better thighs, but Dorian Yates is not far behind. And I also do not believe that he's flexing them as properly as he could here, because Dorian Yates, he had one of the best teardrops in bodybuilding history. Probably a better teardrop than Mr. Phil Heath in his legs, but overall, obviously Phil Heath has better legs, but when it comes to the structure and the midsection itself, it's just night Phil Heath, night. Moving on to the final shot, the most muscular, and here I can give the shot to Mr. Phil Heath, even though Dorian Yates looks like he's absolutely carved out of stone, and he fills this pose up quite properly. Phil Heath, he just has those crazy 3D muscle bellies. Hard to compete for Dorian Yates, who has more of that sort of, it's not flat, but more of that, I don't know, that hard, grainy look, not as puffy, I guess you could say. And food for thought, we also have the full body shot, where you can see that Dorian Yates looks like he's absolutely carved out of stone, even though this photo was taken with a potato. But still, come on guys, let's just give Phil something. And I'll give it a shot. But overall, guys, who would I pick when it comes to these two versions? In my opinion, this is just my opinion, guys, it is this guy right here. And this picture is absolutely telling. This guy wasn't shredded. This guy was shredded. He would make absolutely peeled guys today look like they were in guest posted condition in this version. He was wide, he was huge, he was more than shredded. It's an absolutely amazing version of a bodybuilder. Perhaps the most amazing version of any bodybuilder ever. But that was it, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think that Mr. Dorian Yates at the 1996 German Grand Prix would beat 2013 Phil Heath? Or do you guys disagree with me? Let me know in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do not forget to request a comparison if you guys wish for that. And I will see you lovely ladies and gentlemen later.